Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Good?
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Took a good little break week and having bunches of fun.
Yeah, good,
Yep.
good.
Currently with a massive sunburn across my whole back. I can't even put a shirt on how bad it is.
Ooh, ow.
Yeah, all kinds of fun.
Uh, perhaps our definitions of fun are a little bit different.
Probably. It's it's survivable, but not very fun.
Yeah.
Yep. But I'm looking forward to today. It's been too long.
You're breaking up.
I'm looking forward to today. It's been too long since we did a show.
Yeah. I didn't think that I would miss it as much, I guess, as I do. But yeah, I guess I really do enjoy doing this.
Yep, and hey, we already got Real Talk. Hey man,
People.
how's it going? Just saw you pop on here.
Glad to see you. Glad to see everyone else. Sure. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. This is the America podcast. We are a conservative talk show, and we love comments in our usual shows. And today, we would love them even more. We're going to have kind of a political open talk, and anyone that's listening in is free to make comments and to ask us questions. We're kind of just going to bounce around topic to topic today and kind of give you guys our thoughts and our opinions, and you can give us yours.
Yeah. So normally we do like a fixed topic, whether it's the riots or like the Equality Act or really whatever, and anything that's going on. Really, we normally have a fixed topic. Today there's no topic. It's just tell us about what's on your mind, anything that you guys might have wanted to talk to us in the past about, but we haven't been able to answer, or we ran out of time, or whatever it may be. We already got our first comment for today, so it looks like someone's got something they want to say.
All right, let's get at it.
Yeah. Take the first one real quick here.
Right. Name one thing conservatives have been right about in the past 25 years.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. What have conservatives been right about in the past 25 years? Everything. I mean, no,
well,
I mean, not everything. I mean, we're obviously we're human. We mess up too.
I think the better question is, I don't know whether this person asking is conservative or not. If he is, then I assume the question is, what has the Republican Party gotten right? I think conservatives have been right in standing their ground for what they believe in, even while the culture has pushed. So I think that conservatives have done a decent job on that. I think the Republican Party has definitely ceded a lot of ground to the left.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so thank you for the question. Yeah, open talk, but maybe make it a little bit more specific, just because it'll make it easier to understand how we can answer your question when you ask it. Otherwise, questions can get if you're really, really broad, it makes it difficult to answer your question. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and take another question here, though.
Okay.
Name one thing positive that conservatives have done for the masses of America in the past 10 years. Oh, I'll say 25 years.
Okay, that's more specific.
Yeah, that's good. Boom, right off the bat, I can say Second Amendment protections. We've had a lot of people in different states that have gone after them for many years, and they've I think we've done a pretty good job of protecting them despite all of the people going after them. And even more than that, the conservatives have done a good job with things like abortion laws. Obviously, we've been forced to cede more than we wanted to. But like in Alabama, they have the new abortion laws are really good. Like whether it's abortion is only permitted in the case of risk to health of the mother or rape or incest. Everything else is no abortion. So I'd say that's something we're right about that we've done a good job on.
Well, and I think I'm actually for my school newspaper on abortion, and I think that abortion is one of the places where conservatives kind of got shoved under the rug. The left took the Supreme Court. They said, okay, there's Roe v. Wade. This is what happened. Therefore, there is no way to challenge this or to overrule it in any way. This is, the ultimate law. And so the left kind of ran with that and said, okay, we can do kind of whatever we want. So I think conservatives are kind of doing are trying to do a take back right now. There have been a lot of Republican lawmakers in, I think, a little over 15 states right now that are presenting laws or bills that could become laws that would almost entirely ban abortions. I believe the only exceptions in some states would be risk of the health to the mother. Other states, it would be risk of health or incest, rape, etc. So we are kind of pushing back at that right now, but I think the fact that we lost that ground in the first place is a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Roe v. Wade was definitely a loss, but let's see, we're doing better with that. We do have 4 comments, so thank you guys for coming in, keeping comments up, and we're just gonna have a good time today. Remember, keep it clean, please. A lot of profanity doesn't do anything for the show, doesn't help get your point across at all. And try to sound smart when you're doing stuff, because if you just sit there and spout stuff without any evidence to back things up, then it doesn't do anything good for you to help your argument. So, yep. Go ahead and take another message.
I think conservatives are freaking hypocrites. You want to talk about cancel culture, but when Little Nas X decides to make a music video in a free country where he's allowed to make one, and obviously he's not religious, and because he speaks about Christianity, because he's part of the LGBTQ community, Christians and conservatives want to get in an uproar. Because your whole time, well, people who believe in Christianity has been saying because he is homosexual, he's going to go to hell. So he slid down to hell in a stripper pole and said, fuck Christianity. And he gave the devil a lap dance.
Honestly, I have no idea what she's talking about.
Little Nas X, he made a music video and also some sneakers, which had like satanic runes and stuff on them, or satanic symbols, and they actually had human blood in them.
Oh, nice.
And it was limited edition. It was 666 of them. So, that little number. I don't really know why they made that number, but whatever. But yeah, so he did that. And honestly, I don't think Lil Nas X has been cancel culture. So I think you have a different definition of cancel culture. See, when I say cancel culture, I'm talking about crap like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, places like this that like I say something they disagree with, and so they block me or keep me from posting or ban me from whatever, right? That's censorship. Okay, for instance, I have a presence on Reddit. It's not anything special. It's just Reddit, right? It's lame. But every time that I post in response, or mainly most of the time I post into response to people who are liberal, who are claiming one thing or another, I'll give evidence or, yada, yada, yada. And then they'll be like, oh, block. I'll just get a message that says you've been blocked from this subreddit. So that's cancel culture. Okay. So when I say something and people try to hurt me or they block me or keep me from being able to say anything and restrict my First Amendment right of freedom of speech, that is cancel culture. Saying, getting angry at Little Nas X for making satanic shoes is not cancel culture, because I can choose not to listen to him, and that's one thing. But when you have people who act as an authority, especially as a group like Facebook, Instagram, other places, these are groups that are, they act as like a public platform. So due to the law, they have to be unrestricting. They have to allow opinions from both sides, and then they are protected. They're exempt from any consequences due to what those people may say on the website. But then instead, these places block and censor people, so they actually violate those laws. So yeah, that's what cancel culture is. And yeah, it's actually a really big problem.
It sounds like you can chime in again if you think I'm wrong, but it sounds like this situation with this guy, the Christians said, okay, this goes against what we believe, and so I'm not going to support it. And maybe I'm going to publish, hey, you shouldn't support this. Culture is that taken to an extreme. It's not just, I'm not going to support this because I don't believe in it. It's people gathering together as a real or a internet mob, then going to some sort of authority, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and saying, listen, we not only don't like this person, but we hate them, and we don't want to just, we aren't satisfied with just telling people not to support them. We are going to try and get them destroyed from any semblance of being able to even be in public. And so being canceled is not just not support you, or I don't think a boycott is even being canceled. Canceling is a disproportionate reaction that is attempting to completely destroy someone for something that they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Spencer. That was very well said. Take another comment here.
No, good point. You said gay marriage. They consider the gay marriage. Well, gay marriage is legal. It's a law of the land now, and no one has a problem with it, right? Society didn't crumble. We're not having less kids. We're not having problems because of gay marriage. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we actually are having less kids. Statistically, I believe America, the birth to death rate, and what that is that to sustain a population, you need at least one kid born for every person that dies. And I believe our birth rate has gone down in the past, basically the past several decades, but that has gone down recently as well.
Yeah, it has. And that goes down. I mean, maybe not just, maybe gay marriage isn't the only reason. I mean, things like abortion contribute to that statistic, making it difficult. Also, I don't think we mentioned gay marriage, but
yeah.
But yeah, things like abortion. Abortion's probably the biggest cause of having issues with our birth to death rate in America. A lot of aborted babies is really, really sad. But yeah, I mean, even more than the moral implications and ethical implications of committing that crime, I mean, there's real world consequences, or we have a population that could, become uneven. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about gay rights or anything, but we can still address it. It's open talk, like we've been talking about. And the problem with that is that as Christians, we do believe that practicing homosexuality, or not just being gay, but actually practicing the acts that go along with that, is a sin. And whenever society makes sin okay, then it is a degradation of the society. You may not see immediate physical effects. You may not immediately see that on the day that America said gay marriage was okay, the Washington Monument didn't fall over or anything, but the spiritual integrity of America was weakened by that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and we're Christians. We don't have the final say so. That's not how America works. So, I'm gonna say I support gay marriage because that's a right people have. But as a Christian, I believe that it's not okay to be gay. But since this is America and you have your rights, then if gay marriage is a law, then that's how it is. I'm not going to complain about it because that's the law. You know, I have my opinions and you have yours. I have my beliefs and you have yours. And I believe that being gay is not a good thing, but I'm not saying that I hate gay people, and I'm just not saying that I support it.
Right. And my basic belief is that being gay is something you can't help. It's the same, in my view, it's having a tendency towards alcohol or a tendency towards drugs. Just because you have that natural inclination to participate in an activity that will not help you, which will not be good for you, just because you have that tendency, if I have the tendency to become an alcoholic, I don't have a problem until I start partaking of the alcohol. So, yeah, the problem isn't, we don't have a problem with people. We have the problem with the actions of people.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thank you, Spencer. Very well said. Take another message here.
A majority of Americans want stricter gun laws, and this article just came out in NPR. Let me tell you something. The United States of America is not a Christian nation. The main religion in America is not Christianity. It says in the Constitution, church and state should be separate. You guys are a whole bunch of freaking hypocrites. That's what the hell you guys are. Hypocrites.
All right, so addressing the separation between church and state, that actually, the separation of church from state, the idea for that came from a letter from, I don't remember which founding father, one of the founding fathers, to a church. He actually sent a letter to a church, which was saying, in that situation, the church was afraid that the government would limit how they practiced, I believe. And this founding father sent a letter to that church and said, listen, we're not going to have the state interfere with your church, because church and since then, people have taken that context away, and they have simply taken the statement, church and state will be separate, and taken it to mean that church cannot be within state. The original intent of that letter was that there would be no state in. Of course, I believe the Constitution says that there will be no state government, or no, that's wrong. State religion. There will be no government instituted religion. However, several founding fathers stated that the Constitution and America was founded for a moral Christian people, and that it would be wholly unsuited to rule any other type of people. So the idea that America is not a Christian nation at its fundamentals is in of the foundation of our nation, and neglects a lot of the founding documents and founding ideas behind our nation.
Yeah. Also, I think it's worth noting she said that we were hypocrites. When I say, when Spencer said, when you separation of church and state, absolutely, yeah. I mean but it's also America is a nation based on like the majority, right? So if the majority of the country votes Christian, then that's how it works, okay? Because that's the majority. Excuse me. But also, I think it's worth noting that when I say, like, okay, when we were talking right there about gay rights, right? I made sure to mention, and she did say this afterwards, so I can't blame her for it. That I have my beliefs and you have yours. The government has said that gay marriage is okay. So while I don't agree with it, as an American citizen and, protecting American rights and all that, yes, since the government has said that this is what the right is, then I will protect that right. As long as it was done justifiably. So, I mean, things that aren't corrupt, right? So when you have corrupt results or things that are not true results, then I would disagree with the results of a trial or whatever. So yeah, but I mean, I'm Christian. I don't agree with gay marriage, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying I hate gay people. And that doesn't mean that inherently it shouldn't change because of my beliefs. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Right. And I went ahead and looked it up because to be factual on this, and you said that a majority of America is not Christian. Just do a Google search. In 2019, 65% of Americans reported as being Christian, which is a majority. So that
by a pretty good margin.
Yeah, by a pretty good margin. It's not 51% is Christian, but 65 is I mean, that's basically you're at the 2/3 mark right there.
Yeah. So yeah,
All right.
thank you, Spencer. Take another message.
Is America woke yet? Because outside America, it just looks like left wing and right wing are two wings of the same vulture.
I didn't really hear what he said in the beginning there. Did you hear that, Spencer?
No. You feel free to leave a message again, but I didn't quite hear what he was talking about.
Yeah, he said left wing, right wing vulture, but I feel like he said something in the beginning. I didn't catch what it was though. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Leave another comment though. I'll be happy to say anything. Taking a message.
No, you're not definitely going to do a tape back. Gen Z is mostly on the left. Generation Alpha is going to be raised by Gen Z. Pray to your God. Pray to your God, because the Republican Party is diminishing. You guys are fighting within yourselves, and it's only a matter of time before the Republican Party explodes on yourselves. Like, there's even Republicans that no longer want to be Republicans, and they decide to call themselves libertarians. That's how bad your party is fucking up America right now.
Yes, but at the same time, you have thousands of Democrats regretting that they put Biden in office, and they're saying, "I'm done being a Democrat." So you come who will flip side to side, and it's a you win some, you lose some type situation. I don't think that we're losing as bad or are saying that we are.
Yeah, but also it's worth noting that like me and Spencer, we're not inherently Republican. I think that specifically aligning yourself to one party is wrong. I mean, okay, let's hypothetically say, just for the sake of saying, let's say in the future I become the president of the United States. Okay,
nice job.
I could say that I'm a Republican president, but in my heart I would be conservative. So let's say the Republican Party becomes the new left-wing party, okay? And the Democrat Party becomes the new right-wing party. Then that doesn't mean that because I said I'm a Republican president, then I'm only gonna follow, I'm gonna follow the Republicans and whatever they want. No, I said I'm a conservative, and because right now the Republican Party is conservative, then that's what it is. So I voted Donald Trump not because he was Republican, but because I'm conservative and I believe in what he was saying, and I wanted him to be the president. So, but yeah, I mean, also stuff like tearing the Republican Party, tearing itself apart. I mean, that happens all the time. I mean, the Democratic Party is tearing itself apart too. Yeah, it's happening on both sides. So,
well,
yeah.
And on top of that, that was a really good point, Coleson. We personally, and I think a lot of people, don't care if the Republican Party dies. Then a lot of conservatives are either going, regardless of whether the Republican Party survives or not, if it doesn't, then a new party will emerge in response to what conservatives are wanting. If the Republican Party is not doing what its supporters are wanting and it dies, then the new party that comes out is going to be more conservatives that support it actually believe.
Absolutely, yeah, because I mean, if the Republican Party loses and falls apart, that doesn't mean that conservatives are just going to disappear or that's the end of conservatism. It just means that we have a new party to make now. We have some work to do here. And if I honestly, the Republican Party could use some work, really. I mean, whether that means that it has to fall away for a new party to come in, or it just needs a revamping, whatever it is, the Republican Party is not a very healthy party right now. There's a lot of contention going on in it, so I do agree with that. But also, the Republican Party is not like the conservative party, because a lot of their values don't line up with the beliefs of conservatives.
Right. And you know what? You do see a lot of Republicans, or sorry, a lot of conservatives saying the Republican Party is not what it was. It's not what I want. And so they are leaving. And at the same time, you have a bunch of liberals and libertarians who are looking at the Democrat Party and saying, okay, want. And they're either going to the Republican Party or they're abandoning both, regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. Take another message here.
All right.
Roe v. Wade was the Supreme Court decision, and the people who were on bench were mostly conservative judges. They understood that more women were dying of backdoor abortions. Jeez, I'm about to put some Little Nas X on. I want to see him dance with the fucking devil.
Okay, so here's real quick going on to what she was saying there, mentioning backdoor abortions.
Yep.
Okay, so marijuana, right? Drugs, alcohol, all this crap. Okay, let's say straight up like cocaine and heroin, right? Should we make cocaine and heroin legal because we know for a fact that there are people who do it anyway? We know for a fact that there are people who commit murder, but does that mean we should make it legal? And I've heard people say, why would you make that? Why would you say that? That's obviously not what we're saying. But if you want to take that, that's the road that you start on, okay? It's a slippery slope. For instance, when you say abortion, there were people, it was happening backdoors, so we had to make it legal. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't care whether those people were conservative. I'm conservative, and I disagree with their decision, okay? Just because someone says they're conservative doesn't mean that their values inherently all line up with mine, or that they're all going to make the same choices as I do. It's just like an overlying thing. People can have individual opinions. Me and Spencer have a lot of the same opinions, and we're both conservative. But when people like it's straight up right there. Just if you want to make the claim and say that it matters because people say we had to make abortion legal because it was already happening anyway, and people were dying from it, so we needed to fix that and just make it more healthy so that people could get it legally. First off, I disagree with abortion right off the bat, so come at me with that one. But furthermore, making something legal because people do it anyway is not a good justification, and not even like it's a little bit of a good. It's not a good justification at all.
On top of that, there are like a dozen forms of birth control. So abortion should not be used as a quote unquote birth control method. And if you want to use the example of women were getting back alley, then let's go ahead and take that. We'll say that 1 in 100 women died from back alley, which I believe is a pretty high percentage. I don't believe the actual number is nearly that high, but we'll take that as a hypothetical. So we'll say when there were 1 in 100 women that died who tried to get abortions. If you make it legal, just like if you made cocaine legal, is now legal, maybe there are ways to make it so that it's cleaner, it's, less harmful for you, but more people are going to die because more people have access to it, right? So the same thing can apply for abortion. We're not even child. We're simply talking about the mother here. If you make abortion legal, now the death operations performed in abortion clinics is now, the death rate is only 1 in 1,000, or one. The percentage of people getting abortions that die go down, and there are people right now in America who go through abortion procedures in the quote-unquote proper abortion clinics, and they still die, and they still get terribly hurt. So even if you increase or decrease the percentage of abortions that lead to the women getting hurt to a smaller percentage, the number of abortions that are happening overall is much higher. So the number of women getting hurt can also be higher. And on top of that, 100% of abortions that happen end in the baby dying. So you have a 100% death rate for the infants that are completely innocent of the act of the woman or the man or anyone else. And so they should not be suffering. Their parents were acting irresponsibly.
Yeah. And before I just want to mention this. I'm not trying to make this like an abortion episode, but just mentioning this real quick. Wes, how many? Okay, in a matter of how many babies are conceived for what reason? Do you think it is most babies are conceived and then therefore abortions happening because of rape or incest, things like one night stands, or for relationships or whatever? Okay, the best form of contraception is abstinence. 100% success rate every single time. Okay, so when people make the claims to me, they're like, "Well, that's just ridiculous." I'm like, "No, it's not. Christians do it all the time.
Easy.
They don't have sex until they get married. Very, very simple, easy to understand way of making things work. It's called patience and having a little bit of maturity." Okay, so having sex in high school, no, not good. Outside of wedlock, no, not good. But people don't see that. They just see people should be free to do whatever they want, and I completely disagree with that. And I believe, furthermore, things like that kind of environment that's been created in the U.S. and the acceptance of it has resulted in big issues that are plaguing our country. And that's just my belief. So,
feel free to continue adding your thoughts. Again, everything that anyone adds, as long as you keep it appropriate. You did cuss a little bit. We'd appreciate it if you keep that out. And in terms of, just to counter any argument that you might have in terms of the rape, about 1/2 of 1% of rape leads to pregnancy. So on top of that, so you've already percentage for that. And even for that 1/2 of 1%, which is a small number, if sorry, I read that wrong. A 5% pregnancy rate for people that are raped. So I'm going to counter an argument before you even make it, which is that we should have abortion for rape. And what I'm going to counter you with is, if we allowed it for rape and incest, would you in it for everything else? Because if you wouldn't, then you're perfectly fine with abortion in any case.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Spencer. Very well said. I'm going to take another comment here.
Yep.
All right, so I'm just going to blow up your whole argument and then bounce. So you said that the founding fathers' intention was, so you are putting yourselves in the body of individuals who lived before your parents, and drawing your own conclusion through the prism of your own lived experiences. So you are watering down your argument. Either you take the words of the founding fathers for what they meant and for what they said, for what they actually said, or you take it for what you feel that they mean. And if you do that, you then give the opportunity for individuals to say that, well, the founding fathers did not intend for us to have weapons of war like we do now in the street. You see what I'm saying? So you have to pick and choose.
So I see what you're saying. And again, I'm going to, I hope you're still here. I hope you're listening. I know you said that you would bounce, but I appreciate it if you're still here. And I'm going to counter you by saying that I was not putting my lived experience or my feelings onto the founding fathers. I was taking quote. One of them said that the founding of America and this free nation would rely upon without them. I can't get the exact quote right, but I know that it can be quoted from it, that America would be wholly, now I forgot it. America would be wholly unsuited for a nation of anything other than majority Christian. Now, I'm not saying that we need a majority Christian to be a decent nation, but the founding fathers were intending this in order to have a moral nation. They wanted it to be founded on Christian values and to be generally have those values be generally promoted.
Yep. Thank you, Spencer. Yeah. Spencer he wasn't putting words in their mouths, which is pretty much what you were saying. But no, I mean, Spencer, he quoted word for word what he said and then said this is what they intended to do by that because that was their intention. So, yep. Thank you. Taking our message here.
I was asking if you two were woke yet because you kind of want to wake up America, but America's a funny place with funny policies and funny sense of democracy. But each to their own. I'm just glad I'm not American.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to agree. America's a little weird sometimes. We've got some work to do in order to make this, a little bit better, make it better than it is now. So, yeah, we're a little weird sometimes. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And not to interrupt you, but I found it. It was from John Adams. John Adams said, quote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." So I was wrong. I'll admit that. He did not say a Christian, a moral and religious people, which that is the statement. That is what he believed. This part of my conclusion that he generally meant Christian values because that was how they viewed morality at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for finding the words too. So we have exactly. So thank you. And thank you for your comments, guys. Thank you for keeping them clean. Thank you for keeping us going. Have a good conversation today. So thank you for staying in and listening. I'll take another message here.
All right.
Okay, so I see you guys are like all over the place. So let's touch on the subject of abortion. So I'm guessing you guys don't believe in late-term abortion, correct?
May not know.
Correct.
That was a moment for you guys to say correct. Okay, so late-term abortion can also be used in the last trimester, the third trimester, for things like ectopic pregnancies or non-viable pregnancies, which means that the fetus is growing in a location that it's not supposed to be growing in, making the mother's chances of survival compromised and the chances of it actually being a viable pregnancy lower than the chance of survival rate for the mother. In states where they have made it illegal to get those abortions, the women in those situations die. And those happen frequently and often. Ectopic pregnancies happen frequently and often.
Yeah, so I don't
Again.
think there's any state that's banned abortion when the baby's a risk to the mother's health. I personally believe that every abortion should be evaluated on an individual basis when it comes to the three things: rape, incest, or
The
risk.
life of the mother.
Yeah, life of the mother. So yeah, I believe that those are things that should be evaluated individually, and to just say every abortion that is rape or incest and every abortion that has a risk to the mother, that baby should be aborted. I believe that's wrong. It should be evaluated individually. But yeah, so I mean, we didn't say that we disagree with abortion for the risk of the mother, but I also don't believe in late abortion. I really don't believe in abortion at all. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, you were right on the money. We don't believe in late-term abortion. I don't believe. My personal belief is that the only time that I would allow an abortion 100% of the time is if the baby and the mother are both going to die, because at that point it's save one or lose both. That is the only time that I would allow an abortion without, quote unquote, without question. If it came to, in my personal view, if it came to between deciding whether the mother would live or the baby would live, that is the decision of the couple to make. And I know that there are many, many women who would gladly give their lives if it meant that their baby would be able to be born. And that's what the choice that they should do. But I think anything other than both of them dying is a situation that needs to be evaluated.
Yeah, I completely agree. Everything Spencer said, I completely agree on. It needs to be evaluated, and if it's both the babies are going to die, then that's something that I would not question a decision made, and that would still be a decision that the couple would have to make whether or not they feel okay getting an abortion, because I mean there's always a chance. I mean doctors are wrong, so
Yeah.
Take another question.
Don't want to prattle on about abortion. I fundamentally disagree with abortion, and I'll always be in opposition to abortion. But what about those churchgoers that feel so shamed that they've fallen pregnant, say at a young age, that they get an abortion because they don't want to be excommunicated from the church? So therefore, surely church causes abortion.
Right.
That's a
So
very
I see in our church, I believe when you say the church, I believe you mean the Catholic Church. We are not Catholics. In our church, you don't get excommunicated because you got pregnant. And for all the Christians that are listening, or it sounds like you yourself are Christian, the only question that I really have for anyone that is a Christian and has gotten pregnant outside of marriage and they're ashamed about it, they're whatever, and they believe that they have committed a sin, the ask you to think about is why commit another sin on top of the sin that you've already committed? Commit a sin to fix a sin, and murder is a sin.
Yeah. I mean, I disagree with abortion. So when you're talking about, like, he mentioned specifically church. So following that line of logic, let's say, okay, outside of wedlock, let's give the assumption that it was consensual. Okay, so it wasn't a rape or incest. Okay, then the woman feels ashamed for her actions and she wants to get an abortion. That's her fault. I mean, really, I don't believe abortion. If you get pregnant and you were aware of your actions and it wasn't like rape or incest, then really it is now your responsibility to carry that baby and to provide for that baby because you chose to make that decision. Literally, a decision made in the space of just a few minutes can change your life. So yeah, abstinence is the best policy. But let's talk about rape. If that were an instance of rape and then she felt ashamed that she was now somehow she felt ashamed like it was her fault or whatever, I believe that she should consult with her family, maybe with her bishop, consult with people she trusts and be like, okay, this is my situation. It's really it's kind of iffy because people face a lot of trials. Getting pregnant from rape is not their fault, and that could be a very challenging and difficult decision to make, one that carries big consequences no matter what choice you make. So that's a serious decision, but it's one that has to be made if it were to happen, whether it was their fault or not. Now, when it comes to the fault of it being consensual and she got pregnant, she has to carry that baby. I mean, that is her fault for going out and having sex, and now she has the responsibility to carry that. I believe that the man who is the father of the baby also has the responsibility to care for that child, but that might not be how it ends up being.
Yep.
So yeah.
And on top of that, really excellently, you add, if someone goes out and gets pregnant or there's this thing that in Christianity, especially, people like to talk about, and that's consequences. The consequence of having sex is that you are going to have a baby. And because of that, you can't just get rid of the consequences without suffering some other thing. A lot of women who get abortions, I believe, within the first 5 to 10 years, have some serious mental problems that develop because of abortion. So you can't just do an act and try to skirt the action.
Yeah, I completely agree. Particular message.
The Guttmachers Institute, GUTTMACHER Institute, did a study, and only 38% of abortions had no Christian, Protestant, or Catholic religious affiliation. So the majority of the individuals actually getting abortions in America are Christian Catholics. So I don't really know how your religious belief is really holding your argument, bro. This is why you should do a Google, do some research before you have talks. It's always better to be informed before just proclamating statistics that actually aren't factual. And I cited my source, and I spelled it for you too, so you can look it up.
Okay.
So
I won't disagree as long as you have your source and it's correct that you said a large amount of abortions are by Christians. Okay. We're not arguing I don't think, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Coleson, I don't think we argued that a majority of abortions weren't or were Christian.
yeah, and further, yeah, absolutely not. We didn't make that point, but also I think it's also worth noting, I am not responsible for the choices that other people make. If there are other Christians who are getting abortions, even if it's the majority abortions, I really don't care. Then that is their choice, but that doesn't mean that all Christians are responsible or somehow at fault for the choices of these people who are getting abortions. Don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. My faith, I don't believe in abortion. If there are other people who are also of my faith that decide to get an abortion, that is their fault. I believe in individual accountability. My choices, because I believe something, does not mean that. Okay, for instance, let's say I saw something on Reddit recently. It was about guns. A guy who said that we should change the Second Amendment and make it so that way every gun owner is a member of an organization, and then that organization can approve when someone wants to buy a gun. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. But then he further went deeper into that, and he said that if someone in that organization, for instance, the NRA is what he said, the NRA were to commit a crime with a gun, everyone inside of the organization that is also a member would be responsible for that person's choice, and face a 3 to 5 year penalty where they're not allowed to carry a gun. I believe that's ridiculous. Obviously, my choice about someone, okay, the NRA is giant, right? But let's just use any group, okay? Christian church, okay? Because we're talking about abortion for this moment, but I hope we won't be for the whole show. I am not responsible for the choices of another person, no matter what they do, unless my choices force them into another choice. So, just going out here, let's say I decide that I'm going to have sex with someone, okay? And now this woman has to decide whether or not she wants to get an abortion, okay? That would make it my responsibility to help with that decision. But because I didn't have sex with anybody and I didn't force them to do anything, I've never even met or heard of these people, I have no responsibility or any kind of accountability for their actions. Okay, so that statistic, I don't know why that. I'm not debating that statistic is real, but I don't even know why that study group would do that statistic, because it's completely irrelevant to every argument, because this is America and we have individual accountability.
Right, and I'm not refuting that statistic either. I will gladly believe it. I'll do my own research to make sure it's true, but for right now, I'll go with it as the premise. My concern is not with that a majority of abortions are Christian. Whether that's true or not, they still have to, according to their faith, they have to answer to what they believe will be the consequences of that action. Christians believe that abortion is a sin or is bad. And so, yes, you may have a majority of Christians that are getting abortions. But just because a majority of abortions are Christian does not mean the majority of Christians are in support of abortion overall. Those people that get abortions are not following the laws that are set up around them, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah, and I will go ahead real quick. I'll give you some statistics as well. From what I looked up in 2014, 24% of abortions were Catholic, 17% were Protestant, 13% were evangelic, and 38% of abortions reported that they had no religious affiliation.
Yeah. So the largest individual majority was non-religious. Of course, that number could have changed, and maybe his thing is is more recent and it's a different number. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Taking on a message.
All right.
No, I did not bounce, but now I'm about to, because I'm just getting home to work on my homestead. But if you can't get quotes right or statistic right, it's not that difficult to do a Google search. We all have laptops. We live in an information world, technology world. Just do a Google search the shit, quote it right, say it right. It's pretty simple. Now I'm back.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Did.
Yeah, Spencer said it right. He didn't say anything wrong. So that was kind of pointless. Go ahead and keep going. But thank you for coming on. We'll see you hopefully another time when you come back on. So thank you.
Yeah. And
good luck.
Yep. All right. Let's go to the next one.
Yep.
America was not built on Christian values. America is the product of a Judeo-Christian Freemason fraternity.
So that's Christian values, Judeo-Christian Christian values. But yeah, you can actually ask and look up quotes from George Washington himself, who actually said that he felt like he was guided by the hand of God in his creation of the Constitution and everything he did as a founding father. So Yeah, look it up, because George Washington himself actually said, he believed he was guided by the hand of God, and several other founding fathers also said that. I don't have exact quotes in front of me, but I know George Washington, as a matter of fact. I know there are more. So look that up.
Yeah, and I believe that basically every single one of the founding fathers, especially the famous ones, were either Christian or religious. Correct me if I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any of the founding fathers who were distinctly and openly atheist. So
I can't think of any either.
So you can say that they tried to found a nation that wasn't founded on Christian principles, but they are the people that founded our nation. And just the same as if me and Coleson founded a nation, the morality that me and Coleson have would affect what type of system that we put in place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm even here looking up right now. The only person that had any doubts with was Benjamin Franklin, just because he was more like a scientist type. He doesn't specifically say that he wasn't a Christian, but it said that he questioned some basic points of Christianity. So, yeah, be that what it may.
Yeah, so thank you for leaving your comment. Anyone else that wants to leave comments, please feel free. We love any comments from anything today.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and take another comment right now.
All right.
Wake Up America opinions. I really have a question though. Especially in like the conservative party. How often do y'all speak about abortion, and how often are women who can have said abortion, are they around? I'm just curious.
So me and Spencer, we actually get, I'd say we probably get a pretty healthy balance of every little group of people, whether it's black or women or every group of everybody coming into the show all the time. And we've had people who have refuted our evidence for abortions before, but honestly, I feel like we are very open about our comments. So anyone that chooses not to leave a comment, I'm not going to say it's our fault, because they should leave a comment if they want to say something. But we have women present in our conversations. But please, if you have an opinion, and obviously it sounds like you're a woman, so please leave a comment if you have an opinion about that's different from what we have about abortion. Just because women don't always have to be present when I say that I don't believe in abortion. Personally, but yeah.
You can't just say that she's a woman, Coleson, unless she says she is. She could be anything. She could be Tank for all we know. She identifies as one.
Yep, or a rainbow unicorn, that one guy. Sorry,
yeah.
not digging on you. I'm sorry, I forgot your just a Z. I'm not digging on you.
Not you specifically. I'm just trying to have some fun.
Yeah, just a joke. Just got to be careful, because sometimes people take jokes too. They don't realize that it's a joke.
That's true.
Yep, I don't know why. All right, another comment.
Let's keep going.
Okay, so that guy knows nothing about ectopic pregnancies. An ectopic pregnancy is when the baby implants in the eustachian tube instead of the uterus. That has to be taken care of almost immediately. No ectopic pregnancy would be able to go to the last term to have a last term abortion like that guy said. If it went that far, the mother would be dead long before that. And an ectopic pregnancy is not considered an abortion. They are removing the whole tube with the baby inside. However, it's a life-saving surgery, removing the tube, not just removing a baby.
Thank you, Kali, completely destroying his argument. I hate when people don't talk about stuff they don't know about, and I honestly didn't know any better, so thank you, because now I do.
Yeah, that was actually some very good information.
Yeah, good stuff to know. But yeah, I think he said a topic, but I think he didn't really know what he was talking about, but I think he meant more like, just miscarriages or any kind of issue with abortion, or sorry, pregnancy that led to an issue with the mother. And then that's where our argument came in. But specifically a topic of, obviously he didn't know what he was talking about. So thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Take
Let's keep going.
Yep. Take our
This
comment.
message. Anyone that's listening, feel free to add comments. This isn't just an abortion episode. This is about anything you want us to talk about. So you want to talk about guns, Biden, Trump, where we're going for vacation, whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Open talk. Take our comment. Whoop.
For the record, I am actually not a Christian. I'm not an atheist, but I'm definitely not a Christian. And I was a father whenever I was a teenager, so that's my dog in this fight.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to know. Oh, we don't have any more comments. Oh, wow. Look at that. We got another comment.
Never mind. All right.
Go ahead and take that then.
Yep.
Can we talk about the outrage about these Satan shoes from the religious right when last week they were complaining about how Dr. Seuss was getting canceled and that was infringing on our freedoms?
Again, that you can go back to earlier in the show. We were talking about how this controversy about the demon Satan shoe stuff was not really cancellation. It was, I don't support this, and I'm not going to and I'm going to let other people know why I don't support it. Whereas a cancellation is a reaction that is completely out of proportion to the act of someone and is generally not justified.
Yeah, it usually is also synonymous with things like blocking or banning people from saying things because that person said something that maybe a mainstream group like Facebook just per se doesn't agree with. But also talking about Dr. Seuss, I mean, those are two completely different things. Satanistic shoes versus Dr. Seuss, who is a children's educator.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I'm not going to sit down with a Dr. Seuss book and read it for the fun of it, but for children, Dr. Seuss book is really good for phonetics and for learning how to talk and things like that. So, but also, I mean, it's a children's book. It's Dr. Seuss, and nothing he says is offensive, so it's dumb to block him. Honestly, I haven't seen a single good reason yet for why any of his books are being censored because no one's given me any actual things. Like, no one's actually said anything like, oh, his books promote white superiority or his books promote anything, which I would obviously refute. But no one's even said that because his books don't refute anything. They're just looking for another thing to block.
Yeah, and I mean, come on, they're children's books, and they're not the children's books that teach your kid how to be trans. It's a fun, silly story about things that don't even exist, right? He creates words and draws a weird little picture to go along with it. So I doubt there's a single kid. In fact, I know there's not a single kid that read any of those books and thought, yeah, now I'm going to be a white supremacist for my life.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good. I would totally back up that assumption, but obviously because people are going to jump down our throats, I know we can't really commit to that because people jump down our throats for it. So, yeah, but I do agree with it. I mean, I don't think there's any kids that read a Dr. Seuss book and told me that they were going to be a white supremacist or whatever. So yeah,
right.
So explain to me then how Dr. Seuss, the business, the corporation, deciding that they thought that it would be a good idea to pull those books with those images is cancel culture, because that's just free market, it sounds like to me.
Okay, well, they did it. Okay, so Dr. Seuss, the author, right, has a company where he is the CEO and he has a board that publishes his books. Okay, and the board decided that his books were offensive for one reason or another. No, like I said, no one's given me a reason why they were offensive yet. But they were offensive for one reason or another, so they decided to pull them out. Now, Dr. Seuss was the author of these books, but a group decided that they were going to censor them for whatever reason. Now, this is where cancel culture comes in, okay? Cancel culture is about an executive person making a decision, or an executive group of people making a decision that affects everybody and keeps people from making choices of their own, okay? So the Dr. Seuss board, they decided, okay, we're pulling these books because they're offensive for one reason or another. And then everyone's like, wait a second, there's nothing offensive here. We don't see anything offensive. Our kids love these books, and now you're going to change them and edit them, and you're slandering Dr. Seuss's name because of what reason? And they still haven't given one yet. He's just offensive. We're removing these images. I honestly don't get it. So let's say someone published a book about being trans, of which there are several. Okay, now if Amazon, okay, now actually, no, let's make it even better. Let's change this. Okay, let's say Scholastic. Okay, the board of whoever for Scholastic decided that they were going to remove these trans books because they were offensive in one way or another. Everyone would be outraged. I would be irritated. Obviously, I'd be like, yeah, you want no more trans books, but that's a violation of people's rights. That's a cancel culture thing. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to stand up in uproar about it because I obviously don't agree with trans books, but I couldn't disagree that it was too far and outside of their purview to say, okay, we're going to remove these books because they're offensive for one reason or another. So, I mean, that's apples for apples. That's what's going on with Dr. Seuss.
And you are right, Matthew, that I earlier in the show I said that there was a difference between simply trying to something versus actually trying to cancel it, right? When you boycott something, you as a person say, I'm not going to support this thing, and I'm going to put my thoughts out there that I don't support this.
Yeah, I'm trying to get other people to join you.
Is a company says, okay, crap, we have 1,000 people that are saying individually this, they've gotten their friends thinking that they don't agree with this, and so they respond to that boycott. It does seem very similar to this. However, I think there's a difference between this situation and a boycott, and that difference to me is what puts it in the cancel category. And that difference is that the company didn't just respond to people saying, I will never, I don't, responded to people that gathered as an internet mob. It didn't just go with people saying, I disagree with these books, and so I personally am not going to do it, and I suggest others don't. It was a complete gathering of a lot of people on the internet, which in the view of everyone else are really just a small group of instigators. You have probably 1 in 1,000 people really want these books canceled, whereas boycotts are more, okay, boycotts are a more severe issue. For example, if these books had actually said worship Satan, then that is a issue that most people can get behind. Whereas this is, okay, they portrayed a stereotype of an Asian person. Cancel culture, going after something, trying to completely get rid of books for a small picture of Asian or whatever else they were claiming these books. Whereas a boycott is almost the people looking and saying, okay, this is a very egregious thing. This book says to worship Satan, therefore wants to get it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I completely agree.
yeah, that took me a while, but I guess my basic is that boycotts are something that most people agree with and are over a big issue, whereas canceling people trying to get rid of something because of a small issue.
Yeah, and also it's normally cancel culture is normally done by people making an executive decision saying it's for the good of everyone else, reminding me of the government. But yeah, so that's where that goes.
Well, and on top of that, I believe this argument started with why are we talking about Satan shoes, but we're not talking about the Dr. Seuss. And there's a huge difference there. Christians not wanting Satan shoes is not cancel culture because they're just choosing not to buy them. Dr. Seuss's books are not being published because people don't have the choice to buy them anymore.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Spencer. Go ahead and keep
All right,
going.
let's keep going.
All right, your thoughts on the politician who wants to ban the video game Grand Theft Auto because of he claims a connection between the game and a rise in Grand Theft Autos in auto thefts, even though the crime has existed for as long as cars have, and the law existed before the video game itself was created.
I find that dumb. I haven't heard of that, but honestly, I've been on vacation for a week, so I'm a little out of the current stream of events. So, yeah, go ahead and jump down my throat for that one. But I mean, I personally don't play Grand Theft Auto. I don't play a lot of first-person shooter games because I don't want that stuff in my life, really.
Right.
I don't play games with a lot of blood and gore. I don't watch shows like Game of Thrones or anything that are bloody, gory, or graphic. So that's my personal preference. But saying that a video game is creating a rise, you can't blame that. Like, okay, for instance, if a drug dealer were to give someone drugs, and then that person who got drugs were to, let's say, they were, they did something dumb, they robbed a bank or they hurt someone or committed some other crime. Okay, are they going to blame the drug dealer for that person's choice to get drugs and then go do it? No, that person who's dealing drugs would be responsible for dealing drugs, but not for, if that person committed, let's say, first degree murder, that person wouldn't, the dealer wouldn't get dealing drugs and first degree murder because this person you gave drugs to did it. That's not how it works. That person has their own individual responsibility and they chose to have drugs. So I mean, that's kind of the thing. It's a little different. Yeah. But I honestly, I just don't agree with the games at all. But to censor something because it's responsible for that doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Well, and I think it's a similar situation. At least a couple years back, there was this push to get rid of first-person shooter games because, it's pushing people to become real-life shooters. And the idea there is that because people are playing these games, they are becoming violent in real life. But personally, I don't like a lot of first-person shooters, just like Coleson, especially the bloody ones or Grand Theft Auto. But the correlation can go either way. Maybe the people that like to hijack cars are just attracted to a game where they get to do that without consequence. So it really could go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and take another comment.
All right.
But thank you for leaving those comments.
Dr. Seuss did a lot more than children's books. He was a satirical columnist, and he did really, really powerful political satire, and it has offended people, and it was supposed to be provocative because it was satire in the first place.
Yeah.
Honestly, I believe anybody offended by something, they choose to be offended. So when people say someone's offended by something, I automatically just turn off my ears because... And after that, I'm just like, well, you're making choice that someone got offended by something, so it's somehow their fault. When, They shouldn't have got offended by it because they made the choice to get offended.
And on top of that, he was actually on. He was more towards the left in terms of his politics. So I do think it's kind of funny that the modern left now can't even handle the fact that this guy on the left back then put out something that they deem is so terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, take another comment.
All right.
Dude, Dr. Seuss was never an actual person. Like, there was one guy who wrote a lot of it, but he worked with a team and they just called it Dr. Seuss.
So that's actually not true, and I just looked this up because I saw it in your comment ahead of time. A man named Theodore Seuss Gessel actually worked under the, the pseudonym of Dr. Seuss and published a lot of books that way. He died in, September 24th, 1991. So obviously it's not still him publishing books today. And nowadays it might be a group of people who are working under that name, but originally it was just a man under the nickname of Dr. Seuss, just like Mark Twain. His real name wasn't actually Mark Twain.
Right.
Yeah. I guess that's all I have to say about that. Not there.
You're not addressing the fact that the business made the decision. They were not told to do this by any entity.
See, that's the business. Okay, Facebook is a business, yes or no? Obviously, yes. Facebook is a business. So because they're a business, does that give them the ability to censor when I say I don't like Biden, or I really don't like Biden at all on Instagram? Does that mean they can censor me because they're a business and they're allowed to make that executive decision because it's, that's how commerce works or something like that? That's not actually how that works. And it's a little bit different for this group. Social media platforms have to operate under a certain group of laws, which they don't. But for this instance, the company made the decision that it was censoring. They made a decision to redo the books because they were somehow offensive or portrayed one image or another, and so they needed to be redone. As I have said before, no one has given me a good reason yet why they decided to do this. I've heard the Asian thing, but I still haven't seen it. Like I said, no one's given me any good reason why I decided to do this, and that's why people are angry, because they are coming out and they're slandering the name of Dr. Seuss and they're censoring his books and redoing them under a false reason that makes no sense at all to anyone with a common bit of intelligence.
Yeah, and I accidentally kind of covered that earlier when I was answering your question between canceling and boycotting.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
All right.
One more comment. Our last comment currently lined up for us, guys. So after this, we'll probably just go on a little tangent or whatever until we get some more. But thank you, everyone, for leaving comments today and keeping everything active. We've really enjoyed it so far.
Yeah, it's been fun. All right.
And that's not true. It wasn't just that it was offensive. It was only 6 books that were really low on the list of, like, not their best sellers anyway.
Okay, so my problem with that is you're saying that because they weren't popular, it's fine to cancel them or get rid of them. There's actually a much larger problem with you saying that. Not just, it was their least popular stuff, so it's not that big of a difference. Sure, but back in slave days, in the South, blacks were not valued that much. Does that mean that they had the right to enslave them? No, but they did it anyways, and we fought a bloody war to stop that. So just because something is not very popular does not mean that it's okay to get rid of it or to cancel it.
Yeah, if you're going to say something like that, you really need to make sure you know what you're saying, because Spencer, you just made a perfect point and totally destroyed his argument. Yeah, so make sure you know what you're saying. But thank you, Spencer. And we don't have any more comments, so real quick, I'd like to go over and talk about Biden for a little bit.
Oh, yes.
We haven't actually done an episode on his ineptitude yet, but that's coming up soon. We're using it as like our backup topic for today if no one else is going to leave any more comments, but we're going to probably do a full episode about it here soon.
Enough to fill several episodes.
Yeah, we probably do several episodes about it. Right off the bat. Former Vice President Biden, who is currently the sad president of this country. I believe illegitimate president, but who is currently the president of this country, is completely and utterly incapable of fulfilling the role as president of the United States of America.
Yep.
Leave your comments.
And I'll kind of add on to that. I completely agree, and that's not just because. Well, I guess we can go into why people think yes or no later, but for anyone that's adding comments, please add them now. We will probably be ending in 10 to 15 minutes. But you can see signs that the executive and the legislative branch don't trust him to run the country. Kamala Harris is taking calls from foreign leaders, and she's doing all these things that the president should be doing. And you can see various interactions. It's kind of a funny one, sad but funny, where Joe Biden is sitting. I believe he was taking questions with Nancy Pelosi, like zoomed in, and he turned to her and said, "Okay, I'll do whatever you want me to do, Nancy." And she just hung up because she just didn't want to deal with him, I guess. I don't entirely know. But if you look, there's so many countless examples in small and big ways where people are, without their mouth, by their actions, are saying, we don't trust this president.
Yeah. Biden is not trustworthy. I mean, things like he can't even walk up a flight of stairs, Air Force One. He can't maintain a clear and coherent sentence in almost every instance by some miracle of I don't even know how he was able to make it through the debates with Trump. He must have been on drugs. I mean, I don't even know how he did it, because now sitting in his office all day, he can't maintain a single press conference, and he can't make a single claim, and he can't talk to anybody because he just oozes and constantly portrays weakness and ineptitude in everybody. That's why, I mean, there's no way right now that China respects us as a nation, because our leader is not going to do anything they do. Literally, anyone who disagrees with me in here, go ahead and look it up. During the recent genocide of China against the Uyghurs, I don't care whether these I don't care. Let's say the Uyghurs were going down China and burning streets down, They committed genocide against an entire group, Wipe them all out. You know what Biden said to that? Further evidence of his ineptitude. President Joseph Biden said that it was a cultural norm that should be accepted.
Yeah, that
if
is
nothing else triggers you and makes you think that Biden is incapable of being our president or unsuited for it, that one sentence should be enough. It is a cultural norm to commit genocide in China against the Uyghurs. What on God's green earth is going on inside that man's brain?
Yeah, no one knows.
That's, I mean, if nothing else, I mean, there's a billion different things about how he's unable to hold a conversation. He's just clearly being led by a rope by other individuals in the government. And all this can be analyzed with just, a little bit of clear-mindedness and interest in looking at the facts. But aside from that one line right there should be enough to make everyone go, oh, okay, now we know we have the wrong guy as president, and he needs to not be there anymore. But ironically enough, it was actually one of the least certainly the least memed. I haven't seen anybody really talking about it. It hasn't been mentioned that much at all in the news. just in a couple of conservative talk shows or other things that I've seen, but I watched it when he first said it, and that was, yeah,
Yeah,
wow,
I
that
was
really,
stunned.
I was floored. I mean, Biden has said some dumb stuff, but that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, wow, he just said that. Whoa.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is that like you were talking about, there are conservative political talk shows like Steve talked about it, but a lot of news media just didn't cover it, or if they did cover it as, "Oh my gosh, did you hear what this guy just said?" It was, oh yeah, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, that's literally like saying committing genocide against the Jews is a cultural norm for Nazi Germans, so we should accept that. Obviously, no one's saying that, but apparently Biden says it, and it's okay.
Yeah, gotta love our world. All right,
yep.
Let's take
another comment here. We got about 5 or...
I made a mistake earlier. It's not the eustachian tube. That's in the ear. It's the fallopian tube from the ovary to the uterus that is involved in an ectopic pregnancy.
Yep, no worries.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, but thank you for correcting that. Yeah, so we've got about just a few more minutes here, probably about 4 more minutes. And just keep talking about. I mean, really, we could talk about Biden for hours. And we could talk about rigged election. We could talk about Dominion. Talk about fraud. Talk about his inability to be president. What amendment is that? Crap, I'm forgetting that right now.
25th, I believe.
Thank you. I literally just looked it up. I had it sitting there on my other screen right as you said it. But yeah, we could talk about that for hours. We only have 4 listeners right now, guys, so it seems like we're kind of at a lull, which is probably a good thing considering how we're probably planning here to end here in a few minutes. So I don't know, Spencer, what do you think about just ending here a couple minutes early?
I'm good with that. Thanks for...
You still there?
Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Okay. Yeah, it disappeared for a second. So yeah, thank you guys for coming today. For those of you that are listening live, and for anyone listening to the recording, thank you for listening.
And make sure to share the show if you enjoyed this, and follow us, because we don't normally do this. Usually we have a structured show with a specific topic, but we're looking at doing political open talk like this every once in a while. So we'd love your comments on both types of episodes.
Yeah, and we actually did get a comment. You want to take that since we got a couple minutes here?
Sure.
I give it about 6 months before Biden steps up to the podium, basically announces that, well, he's kind of tired and for medical reasons, and he's going to step down and let Kamala take charge. And everyone's going to go nuts because they're finally going to see how much of a fake nightmare this really is. The fact of the matter is that, most people didn't really vote for her. Like, that's, and to have him elected under the auspices of that, he's at all cogent is just terrible. I'm a conservative, and I'll never ever be able to forgive the Democrats for, forcing him to be the nominee over Tulsi Gabbard. I would have voted for. I'm conservative, and I would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. There's a ticket, and we'll have the, good economic debates and all that stuff. But those people are competent, and this dude, this dark-eyed mummy, he's not competent. It's not a good thing.
Yeah. I'd agree with you. As a conservative, if I were given the choice, I would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard too. She seems like a decent person and 1,000% more coherent than this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we're Trump guys, so we voted for Trump. But if it was a choice between those two, if it was a choice between a Rock or Biden, I literally would have chosen the Rock. I mean, literally, Biden has done nothing can't name a thing. Not one thing has he done to help this country in his time in office so far. And he is cruising. He's done a lot to hurt it. Number one, right off the bat, the pipeline. I mean, where I live right now, we had gas prices. For instance, I use a lot of diesel with my truck, and gas prices for diesel was like $3 or like or like $2.80, depending where I went. And right now it's like $3.50, $4. It's crazy.
Oh God, yeah, and it's going up.
Yeah, it's going up. So I mean, that's one thing that's already affecting people. Then he's got the dumb, stupid Equality Act and HR1, all this junk that's actually not helping anybody. But heaven knows Biden's going to approve it because he's being drugged along by a little chain. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a crazy world we live in. Like I said, thank you guys for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks.
We did just hit our hour and a half timer. So we're probably just going to go ahead and wrap it up right now and end it. But thank you for coming in. Thank you for those of you listening live. Thank you for everyone who's left comments today. Thank you for those of you who are listening to this recorded. Listen to us live and leave your comments anytime on the Stereo app. And if you like the show, share it because, yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to give our voice, give our opinions, and bring some light onto different topics that maybe some people aren't talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. My name is Coleson.
My name is Spencer. We are 18 and American.
We are signing off today, guys. Thank you for coming. Come on again next time and have a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.